Leadership Summit. I am so glad you're here. This is a great event for us. I'm just going to give you the background premise real quick about what we're doing here. For the last 2 years, Ellenville School District has been conducting, as recipients of the award, the My Brother's Keeper Grant Family and Community Engagement Program in the district. Today, we're following up on a challenge to spread what we do to the community and ask the community how can they fit and help us with this noble challenge of helping our students. In a few minutes, I will go through what the My Brother's Keeper initiative is about. But before we do that, I'd like to introduce our Deputy Superintendent, Angela Urbina Medina, who will give opening remarks.
Thank you, Mr. Mulhern. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Thank you for being here for today and taking part in this very important conversation. Although collectively we represent different fields, different experiences, different perspectives, we share a common belief in our community and what it is that we can achieve together. When we were initially notified that we were recipients of the My Brother's Keeper grant, I had no idea the number of lives that we would touch with such a relatively small amount of money. The truth is that many lives here have been forever impacted by the opportunities that have been created, the connections that have been made, and the view of the world that has been expanded by this grant. From Uber to mindfulness yoga, to guided recess, to trips to Bard and SUNY New Paltz, many of our young men of color have had their trajectory changed because of the work that has taken place over the last couple of years. As we seek to expand the MBK circle, just think of all of the possibilities we can create and experiences for our young men. We are stronger together, and I believe that we are capable of creating a patchwork quilt that will embrace those that need it the most. I look forward to working with you on the Community Challenge, and I'd like to acknowledge those who have joined us today. If you would be so kind to stand or wave, I have a list of a few of our invitees, but I do see that there are some faces here that I just met today. I'd like to acknowledge Mayor Jeff Kaplan, members of the Iris Friedman from the Ellenville Central School District School Board, our high school principal, Carl Pavone, members of the advisory board of FSEP MBK program, Raymond Younger, Ellenville Men's Group, all of the fine members of our MBK program, our students who are wearing the cardigans here. Danny Singer and the leadership of the Ellenville chapter of the NAACP. Ms. O'Neese and Mr. Rayner of Today's Students, Tomorrow's Teachers, the TSTT program. Ulster County Youth Bureau led by Ms. Nina Dawson. Ulster County Executive Office, Ms. Hannah Markowitz. Gennaro Garcia from Gabby's. And representatives of Science Technology Entry Program, also known as STEP, from SUNY New Paltz. Those are just a few of the members of our community that are present today. And I want to thank those who I did not name for being here and taking part in this afternoon. Finally, I'd like to introduce a man that needs no introduction, Mr. Frank Moulton.
Great. And if we didn't acknowledge you, I do hope that you signed in because you will forever now be a member of this growing family regarding My Brother's Keeper. And we welcome you. I'm going to read from the top of the program you got because I try to, Mr. Babone helped me today, try to make very concise what we're really doing. The Ellenville School District accepted the New York State Ed My Brother's Keeper Community Challenge to invite the larger community to participate in the actions and the principles of the My Brother's Keeper initiative. Today's program will explain that initiative, will share the work of the district, and will accept community stakeholders' interest in joining this initiative. So with that said, I want to tell you what it's about, because there are some key issues. My Brother's Keeper grant at the core is about changing the path to success to a better spot, a higher arc for boys and young men of color. That was its sole purpose in its development. It remains as such. So when we are doing programs in Ellenville, we've got our eye on that group of young men and boys who are kids of color, who are historically attached to an arc that we need to change. Now in a school district, and in Ellenville, we're written up in a program by the Alliance for Quality Education commenting that we're one of the few, very rare, rural districts that have almost equal distribution of race and ethnicity. It's an interesting proposition. I've gone both ways, totally white districts, totally black districts, totally Hispanic districts. We're fairly equally distributed. It might give us some advantages, and the cooperation we've gotten from everybody has been great. But when we do our activities, every child is invited, regardless of who they are, where they come from, what color they are, what religion they are. If they are students, they're eligible to participate, and that's how we operate. Last year, we served over 200 kids in at least one program. We operate 13 active programs right now. It's going on right now. 83 of those students are young men or boys of color who come to programs more than once. That number over 200, anybody participate in these things. 83 of them come to programs, and when you hear from Ms. Knox and the CEO for Gomeo Ratings, you're going to see that we're grabbing a lot of kids twice a year in programs that last 8 weeks, 9 weeks. So anyway, the grant is something we do. We get $150,000 a year. We figure out how to spend it the best we can to help kids out, and then we hope that we get it again next year. The state put out a request. If you want to blow this thing up a little bit, you can appeal to your community. You might be eligible for more money. You might be eligible for federal grants on that. So that's what we're doing. But more than that, more than getting that money, which is critical, we're really looking at how we can network more. And I've had conversations just over this meeting on the phone, in my office, with people from the community never heard of what we're doing and want to participate. That's what we're looking for. And so we want to do that. This is our second part. What will come out of this, I'll talk about later in next steps. But we will be asking anybody who's interested to join us to create goals for our students, our community, that go way beyond just the classroom in order to buffer and help out with the My Brother's Keeper goals. So let's hope this is Is Moses still here? Need somebody to help me move that. He set it up for moving the PowerPoint. While that's being set up, what I'm about to show you, let's take a couple of minutes. There are some basic commitments as part of My Brother's Keeper, and I'll highlight the ones in New York State, which are slightly different than the federal milestones. Number one goal is to ensure equitable access to high-quality schools and programs. We live in New York State. Where you go to school is an effect of economy. And those schools without the economy are handicapped to begin with. What this says is we want to work hard to make it more equitable. I mentioned the Alliance for Quality Education. That's our major trust what am I thinking of, organization in this state fighting for equitable schools, and a lot of that's around the economy, leading to high-quality schools and programs. Number two, expanding prevention, early warning and intervention services. Our first year of this grant, we weren't sure what to spend it. We put a lot of money, or part of our money, to us it's a lot of money, but part of our money into a Super Kids reading program in the early grades in our elementary school. We were investing knowing full well that the kids we want to help really need to be helped right away as soon as they get into school. Expanding prevention. I'm looking, I just saw David Levine look and nod when I said that. David is the head of the teaching and founder of the Teaching Equity Institute. He's doing work with our kids and teachers together in classrooms to create schools of belonging, to create mindfulness, to create empathy building for kids. That's important, and that's part of that goal number two. Using differentiated approaches based on need and culture. I always learn when you talk about culture in our society, it's really about continuous learning. We are so diverse in this country. Your knowledge about culture and your fellow cultures will last you a lifetime. You'll never really master them, but you will come closer and closer to understanding one another. So we have, and is Ellie Espinoza still here? Is Ellie still here?
Yes, sir.
In the back, Ellie Espinoza. Ellie is a member of the advisory team. He's also a member of the Ellenville Men's Group, and he is also the designated trainer for implicit bias. We are trying to establish learning about implicit bias so it becomes the vernacular between us. So it's a language to understand each other, not just to learn about how people are biased, but to learn about how we get along. And I've attended, actually, I got trained under Ellie, and along with Ellie, and I've listened to him, and there's a lot of great wisdom and skill to offer to us all with that. That is a commitment in this district that we all know that language. Number four, responding to structural and institutional racism. Boy, that's hard for people to do. We live with it, and we forget that it's really, there are really some structural components of what we do that are based in things we're not really proud of, racism being one of them. When we do our work, we're actually hoping to educate our kids to become critical, understanding what they are involved in and what it means. Literacy critiquing, cultural criticism, economic criticism, so that they see a big picture. We get kids sometimes come in and just make it all black and white, if you know what I mean. But it's more than that, and kids have to understand how to work with that and what are all the forces at play there. It's important. Number five, making comprehensive and coordinated support services widely available. We don't just educate kids in the classroom. There's a lot of support that young people need as they develop, as they learn, as they grow, as they mature, as they become young adults. And we need to surround them with services and supports and guidance with that. You're going to hear some mentors speak today. We don't build mentors into our programs. I'll tell you, I was working with a group in Montreal, Canada, and they have in their schools, by mandate, mentors. Mentors exist there. They used to be called like youth development workers or something. They're part of the school budget. They work on the trains. They work in the local delis. They work in the neighborhoods getting kids to school every day. They are mentors. Mentors have a place, and that's what we're trying to do. And we're hoping to learn today from some of the people that we hear from and that I've heard before. Very inspiring. And last but not least, engaging families and communities in a trusted and respectful way. To me, this goes back to some of the implicit bias training that we get to. Sometimes we don't realize how pejorative we are, how condescending we are, or can be, when we speak about things that we know are right. And this grant really puts us in a position to work with people, to understand one another, and families in particular. I just want to mention that there are national milestones too. I'll read them quickly without any dialogue to you so you can understand. On the national level, the milestones are enter school ready to learn. Preschool, Head Start, bing, 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 bing. Read at grade level by third grade. A big goal in a lot of the districts I've worked in New York and in this area. Graduate from high school, ready for college and career. 4, complete post-secondary education or training. Following them through, you're going to hear from a student who was in our My Brother's Keeper program. He will forever be. He's a freshman in college. He'll be talking to you today. Successfully enter the workforce. And 6, grow up in safe communities and get a second chance if they make a mistake. The great thing about Ellenville, I don't live in Ellenville. I have some connections to Ellenville, but the great thing about it, it is a safe place. It's a good place. There's a lot of great things going on here that people don't know about. And we're glad you're here today to hear about some of it. So I want to move on to the next part of the program. I want to introduce an advisor to the MBK program, a man that we count on because of all his experience, his love for kids, his love for this community, his civic responsibility in various roles in local government. And he's also the gentleman who's responsible for attendance with our kids. He visits families, follows up on kids who aren't getting to school, and that's Mr. Raymond Younger.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's so nice to be here, gathered here at the Hunt Memorial Building, and we're thankful that so many of us have come to be a part of the My Brother's Keeper, and hopefully to really expand it into our community. As I look around the room, I'm just thankful for so many of the stakeholders who are here, who are rooted and grounded here in the village of Ellenville. I see Mayor Jeff Kaplan. I see Layla Santana. She's the director of the Head Start program. And Gabby Singer has been mentioned in the local chapter of NAACP, and so many others who are here, to support this program. As Mr. Mulhern said, I am part of the Ellenville Men's Group, who have partnered, who is one of the partners with My Brother's Keepers, along with the BOCES program, BOCES of Ulster County, as well as the Ellenville Library. And so, I'm part of the Men's Group, an advisor to the MBK. But as Mr. Mulhern also stated, that I work in the Ellenville School District as the attendance supervisor / student support liaison, where they really plug me in wherever I'm needed, in addition to attendance and following up, when students aren't coming to school, and if there are issues that we're not aware of, I go out and I try to find out. I visit their homes and try to find out what the problems are, what the situations are, so that families can feel like there's help in the community. And so I'm kind of plugged in all over. And so as I was trying to gather my thoughts, I thought about writing something down, but I'm just going to speak from my heart because I've really been directly involved with Mr. Mulhern and the MBK. Go Beyond Greatness with Ashley Knox, and so many other wonderful programs that Mr. Mulhern has instituted. I'm thankful to see our students who are part of MBK. Can we give them another hand? And I know directly how it has impacted their lives. I know directly how the trips that Mr. Mulhern has taken them on, and the programs inside the school district itself, how they have gravitated to, and they are the better for it. And so every time an announcement is made that this group is meeting today, I see them gathering in the office, high school office, waiting and with anticipation for the programs to start. So I've seen directly also Ashley Knox working with our students and Go Beyond Greatness, and how they are excited just to be involved. So I know firsthand, the importance of this program, And my hope is that as we move forward, that Mr. Mohern can really gather support from the community at large, that there will be stakeholders that leave here today that will commit to helping to advance, go beyond greatness, and really look to partner with MBK to make it bigger and better than what it is now. And so I'm going to keep it short. One of the other things that I do, my wife and I pastor a local church, so sometimes, you know, you put a mic in front of a preacher, man. But I'm going to keep it short today because that's not my intentions today. But I'm thankful to have of our high school seniors and then one of our graduates who's gone on to be a freshman in college. And I'm going to introduce them, and they're going to come in the order that I called them. The first will be Hassan Lewis. He's a senior at Ellenville High School. And the next following him will be Miguel Gonzalez Lopez, also a senior, and then our graduate, a freshman at SUNY Ulster, and that of Anthony Walton. So as they come,
Good afternoon. I just want to take a second to thank you guys all for coming out today. My name is Hassan Lewis. My name is I'm a senior at Ellenville High School. I was first introduced to the My Brother's Keeper grant when I was a junior in high school. I was chosen by Mr. Mohern to be part of the Go Beyond Greatness program. And of course, as a junior, I didn't want to do it. I already had enough work, but he convinced me to go to a meeting, and I'm glad I did. I was first introduced to Miss Knox in the back, who explained it all to me and convinced me to come back again. Through the Go Beyond Greatness program, I probably was introduced to a lot of things that I wouldn't have seen if I didn't go, because not a lot goes on at home. We really like field trip a lot. But going through that, I was able to go to SUNY Ulster on a campus tour to see the campus and meet teachers and all that. And then we went to another one, and we met a Korean company, environmentalist companies that really showed us like better ways to make the environment and explain to us the real like details, and if we wanted to get into that. We also went to the United Nations and got to see and really get in there with good tourists who explained it all to us. I was also able to go with, I don't know if SB still here, in the back. And Mr. Mohern went to an MBK summit in Albany, where I really got to see how big My Brother's Keeper was. Because at first, I thought it was just Ellenville, our community, better than us. But when I went there was a lot more people like me, like student-wise, and teachers who really explained to us like the importance of it and how it can help the community and better the school. So it really like opened my eyes, because I got to talk to like speakers and other teachers and people like Mr. Mohern for other schools who really like broke it down to me. And through that, I really saw like this could really help Ellenville if we got enough support from the people and this taco list. I don't really know the details of it, but it could really like better our community. I just like to thank you guys all for coming out, and that's all I really got.
Hey everybody, thank you for coming out. My name is Miguel Gonzalez. I'm a senior at Ellenville High School. After high school, my goal was to go to college for business administration. My involvement in the MBK grant started when I heard about Go Beyond Greatness, which is the program that Ashley Knox runs. That program was brought to my attention through Frank Mohern. I went to a few classes and started to learn about things like how to build myself into like a better person, like how to build myself into an overall brand. Because it's important to do. And I didn't get to finish it, unfortunately, because I was working 2 jobs at the time, but something told me just stay involved with it as much as you can. I'm glad I did, because after I went to a few classes, I just saw like potential, you know what I mean? And Mr. Frank, well, I can't see this. All right. Mr. Frank came up to me after a few classes and he told me about this youth leadership seminar that they were having. It's called the Key O'Brien Youth Leadership Seminar. It's also known as HOBie. And he told me that he saw potential in me and saw how he thought that I was a leader and how I demonstrated a solid work ethic in and out of school and how I valued self-sufficiency and independence. And he asked me if I was interested in attending, and at first I was skeptical about it because I never had an opportunity like this, but someone told me to do it and I did. And when I did go there, I learned a lot. Like I learned a lot of leadership skills. I learned how to manage time better, how to, like I said earlier, like build myself into like a bigger brand than I was before. When I went there, I knew nobody there except for one other student from Ellenville that Frank also chose to go. And I was only there for a weekend, but I learned a lot of skills that I still use a lot today. And I'm glad that I went because it opened huge doors for me, a lot of opportunities that I could confidently say that I wouldn't have had if I never went. And I'm honestly really extremely glad and honored to be a part of my brother's Keeper grant and HOBie, because it all helped me just learn how to do bigger and better things and how to help others around me do bigger and better things. And that's what I feel is important nowadays. Everybody needs to come together, you know? That's all I have. Like this time.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Anthony Walton. I'm a freshman at SUNY Ulster studying criminal justice, hoping to make a change in this community and children that grew up in conditions like me. I graduated from Ellenville High School last June and also worked to support my studies. 2 big events happened in 2017 that impacted my life greatly. Number 1, my mother became sick, and all of a sudden I had majority responsibility of taking care of myself and also my younger sister. The second event is that I met Mr. Maher and became a member of My Brother's Keeper program in the Circle of Courage Youth Project at Ellenville High School, which changed my life. And I will forever be grateful for which I was lost as a young man before meeting Mr. Maher and being introduced to the MBK. The Circle of Courage opened opportunities to me that I didn't have before. It also helped me learn my own strength as an individual who was lost at the time, and also teach others the philosophy of the Circle of Courage. In the Circle of Courage, my total minimum was a deer, and my strengths were caring about people and putting others before myself. And having strong morals also. As a Circle of Courage youth, I am obligated to teach others about the Circle. My first experience was amazing. I was able to teach students at the Illinois Roosevelt Education Center. More recently, I received the opportunity to train students at Monticello Middle School about the Circle. I also attended My Brother's Keeper Summit in Albany with other high school students with capabilities like me. I will carry that connection forever. I'm glad that the MBK is continuing at Ellenville, and I'm happy today to share my story as a My Brother's Keeper youth, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you, all 3 of you. And the many other My Brother Keeper students who are here. You all have stories to tell, stories, great stories. Thank you for yours. I want to introduce what put a jetpack on our program, and that was meeting Ashley Knox, CEO and founder of Go Beyond Greatness. we were looking for ways to have kids in groups and learning in consistent ways with the curriculum and exposure to opportunities before them. And one day, Ashley walked in, told us what she was doing in other communities. We brought her on, and we haven't stopped, and we don't ever want to let her go. So we want to introduce you to Ashley Knox. She'll tell you all about her.
We love technology. Good afternoon, everyone. I just want to say thank you to everyone for showing up on this beautiful sunny day. I mean, it feels like it's a nice spring day rather than in the fall and going into winter. So we should embrace every moment of it. My name is Ashley Knox, and I'm the director of Go Beyond Greatness, Inc. I'll tell you a little bit about who we are as a college and career preparation organization that works closely with the Ellenville Central School District and many other school districts within Ulster County and surrounding areas, all around what former President Obama was all about in his initiative of the My Brother's Keeper, and that is by supporting our young people when it comes to increasing high school graduation rates, as well as increasing college matriculation rates, and being able to create a culture where we're bringing in our school administrators, our school teachers, our community leaders, our local government, all coming together in order to embrace a culture around a target group that, interestingly, within the history of the United States of America, have been underlooked in terms of their brilliance. I am grateful to be a part of this national movement right here in my own hometown of Ulster County. While we get videos together, I'd just like to give a special thanks to Ellenville Central School District administrators and staff, to include, of course, Mr. Frank Mulhern. I mean, the way you've been able to support us with recruitment, student recruitment and student outreach is not easy. And I mean, the students were just falling in, and I thank you for that, because that's the way that we're able to build rapport quickly and get right to programming, just like that. So thank you. Special thanks to Superintendent Lisa Wiles and Deputy Superintendent Angela Albina Medina. Principal Carl Pabone, I've known you for years, and you have always been such a strong leader within our education system and making sure that young people are provided with the resources that they need to succeed, so thank you. Assistant Principal Kelly White, as well as Ellie Espinoza. He allows us to use our classroom when it needs, so thank you for that, Mr. Espinoza. Mr. Brian Fadouk, who also supports us with our students and programming as Ellenville's lead business teacher within the school district. Raymond Younger, I thank you. From the day that we walked into Ellenville, you were just such a warm welcome and invitation for us to come into the school, and I appreciate you for that. And Gennaro Garcia, is he still here? Well, the food I can still smell, so he's still here. Gennaro, owner of Gabby's Cafe. He kept us nourished since 2018. Ashley, whatever you need, give me a call, and I'll make sure that the food gets over to the school. So thank you, Gennaro, for that. We need more business leaders where it's beyond just, business profit, but really think about how do they take their stance as business leaders and support the people in the community, and most importantly, our leaders of our future, which are today's youth. And so thank you. And then lastly, our Ellenville students. We could not do this without you. There are a lot of kids that check out by high school. And since Go Beyond Greatness, we do serve K through 12, but our major target population are high school students. To see that you come and show up, and not only show up, but you're actively engaged, means so much to your teachers, administrators, our staff, myself with Go Beyond Greatness. And so thank you for being you and striving for greatness, because that's what we need as our future leaders of tomorrow. All right, and so as the video ready, I'm Ashley Knox, and I'm the founder and director of Go Beyond Greatness, Inc. We're a college and career readiness program that supports young people to reach their goals and to strive for success. This year, we're really excited to host the 2018 Build Your Brand Project. The Build Your Brand Project is a professional development training for teenagers. It's a 5-day workshop series that helps students to think about what do they want to be known for and how do they take control over that now by building a personal brand for themselves. The way we identify a personal brand, it's a combination of the two, how you view yourself and how others view you, but in a way that students have the ability to create a healthy character inside and out and have the ability to promote themselves based on what they want to be known for. This is a fun and exciting professional development training for teenagers. It empowers them to take control over their life success by learning how to develop their character and soft skills in a way that leads to new opportunities towards their future achievements, academically and for the career world. Areas of training include the Build Your Brand. Day 1, take control of your reputation now. Day 2, speak like a pro, simple tips to propel your confidence. Day 3, body talk. What does body language say about you? Day 4, meet new people, the pathway to new relationships. And day 5, build your professional network. It's the key to your professional survival. That's just one of the leadership programs that we offer to high school students. If you are a part of Go Beyond Greatness with Ellenville High School, can you please stand up and come on up front behind me, please? I just want those to know who you are. So if you have participated in a Go Beyond Greatness program, whether it's the Build Your Brand Project or one of the summer intensive, please stand up and come on up. The video that you just saw was from 2018. Go Beyond Greatness is a New York State educational consulting firm, and through this, we're able to work directly with state agencies, especially school districts, in support of state gov. And when we did the first Build Your Brand project with Ellenville High School in 2018, what was nice is that all the way in Kingston, the Daily Freeman said, "Oh my goodness, this is fantastic. We need more of this in our schools. Can we come and do an article?" So not only did the Daily Freeman publish an article on what our students here were learning, but they decided to create a video, and I thought it was fantastic, so I hope you enjoy it. In addition to the workshops that we do in-house within the school, I just want to just share with you and give you a visual that the students are not just in-house and learning the academic piece of what it means to be a great leader, but what we're doing in partnership with the school district of Ellenville is that we are connecting our young people to the power players in their community so that we're building rapport early on. Make sure I can do this PowerPoint here. I'm just going to skip a few slides, being mindful of the time. So this here, not only do we have academic programs in-house, but we also work with the school to provide funding and resources to make sure that students gain early exposure to the career world. You know, school is wonderful around learning and knowledge, but if we're not finding ways to help our young people to make connections to the real world, then we're missing a really big piece around holistic education. And so within that, we provide culturally enriching field trips to do business company site visits and college tours. This picture here is of New York City Service and New York City Office of Mayor de Blasio's office, where they invited our students to come to learn about the work that they do and how students that graduate from high school have opportunities to work with New York City Service directly after high school. Next slide. That's a nice classroom slide. Don't you love when their hands are raised? Next slide. In terms of our local government support, this is Deputy County Exec Tim Wiederman and many of the business tech leaders within Kingston, New York. We did an Uptown Kingston Wall Street tech visit, helping students to make connections to the fast-growing industry of the new job demand within digital technology. We visited, about 3 or 4 different companies in one day and had dinner at the same time and came back here and then went back to school next day, right? Next slide. Here's another clip of, this would be Moon Farmer, which is one of the digital tech companies that are also doing work now in Ellenville, but I'll leave the county exec to share more information about that. in terms of college tours, I mean, sitting right in front of the Darling Pfeiffer Center for Entrepreneurial Studies and being able to make those connections with college admissions representatives and professors now before they even graduate. What does that do? It's the stepping stones for our students to strive for that greatness. Next slide. Another clip of SUNY Ulster and their tour. And again, these high school students that you see here, they were already great, and to see them going beyond their greatness, can you see how engaged they are? I've met a lot of young people before, and to see Ellenville and how the teachers and the administrators really support them in a culture of taking ownership of their education is quite impressive. Next slide. Here, we're down in New York City in Times Square. We did a company site visit for students to understand what happens as being software engineers and website developers. This is the Uber software engineering site. So a lot of people know Uber for what? For their taxi rides, but you never think, how do they function digitally and where are the hubs? And for us to go visit the fancy area of Manhattan and be welcomed by one of the international tech companies like Uber was an amazing opportunity for our students. Next slide. And then we always say, you cannot be a New Yorker without going to the United Nations. So we tend to do a trip to the United Nations every year. Professional mixers. So we also invite local business leaders. So please stay in contact with us because we'll probably host a team professional mixer where we have students meet and greet with local business leaders. It doesn't matter what area of industry you are in, but we have it at a wonderful venue. This particular one was at the Chateau, thanks to the support of Ulster County Economic Development and their director for making the connection with the Chateau in Kingston, New York. And students were able to pitch their elevator line and learn how to meet and greet in professional environments with adults. It's one thing to do it with your peers, and it's another expectation when you have to present yourself and step into your greatness with adults. Next slide. Here's another one that Gabby Cafe hosted. As you can see, there's a few different local leaders within the town of Wawarsing and Ellenville that were there for that event. Next slide. And we also have a graduation ceremony. Next slide. And then lastly, I like to show you one more video that's a minute long. What makes this rewarding and keeps me going beyond my greatness is when I see our students really step up to the plate and say, actually, you can move to the side, we got this. And I'm really excited to show you a video. They wanted to capture their experience when we went on our New York City excursion. And so the theme for that year was looking at the fast-growing industry in digital technology and environmental green jobs. I think Hassan or Miguel may have mentioned that in their presentation. And so they created their own student-led production with Ellenville's Media Club. So Ellenville's Media Club is fantastic, top-notch. And they created a video. We also have one of our GBG instructors named Sarai, who works for a music production company, and they produce music for TV, films, and commercials. And what was wonderful about it is that they welcomed the students to come together and make their own songs. So the song is a customized Go Beyond Greatness song, and take a look and see their experience.
Enlightening. Limitless.
We could go beyond greatness, greatness. We could go beyond greatness, greatness. As we go through changes, changes that technology created, made it. We could go beyond greatness,
entrepreneur. He's also an Ellenville High School graduate, college student that came back. He did a lot of the video editing to help us get that done. Thank you, Mr. Everett, and MBK 2019.
Thank you, Ashley. Quite often when we're doing our work, we not only wonder what we need to do, but we think about what we can become. So we have several people who are going to speak in turn now, and I'd like to introduce the first one. Jose Lemus is the branch manager for Ulster Savings Bank. I got introduced to him today personally, but heard about him through Ashley, and we'd like to hear about where he is today and how he got there.
Good afternoon, everyone. Again, my name is Jose Ellenville. I am the branch manager for Ulster Savings Bank, and I'm proudly also part of two other organizations. One of them is Radio Kingston. I serve on their board, and I am a coach and a mentor for Kingston Association Soccer League, where I coach boys that are 11 years old. And my son is part of that group as well. Total kids, I have 15, so I have 14 sons as well. So 14 sons plus my son, they're all my kids. We play at a high level, and we got them out of Kingston, and now we're playing in New Jersey. So we travel every other weekend, and we're in first place. We're undefeated, and these kids are amazing. So it is a blessing to have them. And when I was first approached about these programs tonight, or this evening, I was wondering how to start, sharing something that is so personal for me. And I think the best way to approach it is to share my story, to share where I started and who I was and who I became today. I arrived to this country from Central America at the age of 16 with a language barrier. No English, and it was extremely hard for me to communicate to others. My uncle was kind enough to allow me to stay at his home for a short period of time. Of course, he also had a family and 2 kids and a wife, so he didn't really have time for me when it was taking care of me. So he was able to find an apartment for me at the age of 16, and I was able to find this apartment, and I was living with 3 strangers. I was obviously the youngest one. And because I had responsibilities, and I had to pay for my rent and my bills, I started working at this local diner as a dishwasher, and basically bathrooms and doing all the hard work. And I was making about $250 to $275 a week. Washing dishes and cleaning bathrooms. I had to ride my bicycle from my apartment to work. It was hard because, as you know, when I was in New York for lovely weather during the winter, we get about 2 foot snow. I still had to make it to work. So instead of riding my bike, I would walk through the snowstorms and make it to work, go to the laundromat, and go to the grocery store and do all these things walking. So it was difficult. All the guys that I was living with were in their late 20s, early 30s, and of course they used to like to party, right? So they party a lot. So I was exposed to drugs and alcohol all the time. I was the youngest one and didn't know about life. But I made the conscious decision of following the right path to where I wanted to bring my life to. So I never was part of it. I was making money, so instead of doing that, instead of doing drugs or alcohol, I was actually buying video games, buying sneakers and clothes. So I saw the way my life was going, and by working hard, you get the things that you want. That's been my philosophy since day one. Then, when I started going to school over in Kingston High School, I learned that by being part of these great programs, leadership programs, you can make a difference as you grow up. And I had a clear vision of where I was heading, and I would have never have reached my goals today if I had chosen a different path. Everything was going great and according to plan. I was going to school. You know, my life was great. I was the varsity captain for the soccer team during my sophomore year. And I fell in love, right? A lot of young students can relate. And my girlfriend at that time got pregnant. So there was another obstacle for me to graduate from high school. That didn't stop me to follow my dreams and my goals. And I was not prepared financially to support a family of myself because I was very young. And I had to put my goals and my dreams on hold, but I never gave up on them. I was actually very conscious of where I was heading, and I had to work 2 jobs to support my family and attend college as well, part-time. You know. So, you know, we are exposed to negativity every day. It is so easy to lose sight on stay track of where we're heading to follow our dreams. It is our choice to be better humans. It is our responsibility to give back to our community so we can create a change. I'm a strong believer that if we want to make a difference, we have to create a change first. All the students, you're going to fail. You're going to make a lot of mistakes in your life. It's the way that you recover and how you come out of those, the way you're going to come out of, you know, to be successful in life. It's up to you to make it work. Learn from all of it and listen to your teachers, to your mentors, and to your community leaders. They know what they're talking about. They stay focused on short-term goals and plan long-term goals in the best possible way so you can celebrate success. Make your own dreams come true, and most importantly, make a difference. This is just a short version of my story, and I hope that this helps to future students, you know, to have bigger dreams and to approach a different level of education and different level of careers so you can make the community shine. I am proud to say that I was the first male in my family to attend college, and I was the first Latino at the Ulster Savings Bank to become a manager. So you can do it. And these programs, my Brother's Keeper, Go Beyond Greatness, the school districts, they're so important. And you know, kudos to all that, you know, everybody that makes things happen. And you know, just listen to your mentors and to your teachers, and then you'll get what you want to be. Thanks for allowing me to share my story. And that's all I have.
We don't do this work alone, we do it together. And one of the things that I've learned emanating out of Ellenville is reaching out to people who are just wonderful that you wouldn't otherwise know about except in this business. So I met Nina Dawson, Director of Ulster County Youth Bureau, also the head of the Human Rights Commission, and a million other things I hear she does. And she is here to talk to us, and she's been a big, big support to us as we develop this program. We thank her in advance of her speech.
The sun is piercing today. Hello, everyone. I know you guys have seen and heard so many people talk. I'm going to try to make this a little as lively as I can, and I'm going to make it short because I know there's been several people that have come before me. So, Frank already introduced me, Nina Dawson, Director of Ulster County Youth Bureau and the Director of Ulster County Human Rights. I want to talk about what we're really here for today. First of all, I have to thank the people that I've met. Miss Medina, I've actually met you, and some people you meet, when you first meet them, you get the good feel. That's what I felt from you. So thank you. And for you to be the support that you have been with Frank, I think it's amazing. Frank is a gem for Ellenville. And Ellenville, he's in Kingston just as much as he is out here. So thank you so much for being here, Frank. You're amazing. Amazing. We have to do it. And I love seeing the support. The mayor was here today. We have Anna Markowitz from Ulster County executive team. When we have support, when a program like this has support from community leaders and stakeholders, that's half the battle right there. Connecting these people with the people that are actually really going to do the work, it makes it easier for us to do the work. So the reason why I'm actually involved in MBK is because I believe that people, that young men and women of color can actually learn from mentors. And that's what the whole MBK purpose is in my heart. That's what I see for MBK. So I actually have been involved in so many things and so many different lights that it's really, really good to be able to see young men of color that can actually mentor to other young men of color. Mentors have such an important role because they are relatable. The mentors that I'm actually going to, they're going to come after me, have great stories, and you're only going to get a touch of what they can actually do in a classroom setting. If you have a young kid in a program, like I'm going to use an example, Phoenix. Phoenix is a program where kids actually go and they actually are sent there because they've had trouble in other schools. That does not mean that that kid is a failure. It means that that kid has extenuating circumstances. I get it. I come from those neighborhoods. I come from what they call the hood in Kingston. And I love it. I love where I live. I remember when my son was younger, he used to say, let's move out to the country. I want a four-wheel and blah, blah, blah. And I said, no, because you're going to be versatile. You're going to be able to do it here. You're going to be able to do it in the city. You can go to the country. You're going to be versatile just from being able to maintain and sustain where we live. And I'm so glad because he could have chosen the path that others chose, but he didn't. I won't say it's because of me. I happened to be lucky. It was just one of those kind of kids. But the mentors that I actually was able to latch onto in Kingston, some of them are not even from Kingston. They are amazing, amazing people. And what they're actually going to do, they're going to develop classrooms, after-school programs. Any organization in a city, throughout Ulster County that is actually willing to be there and support people of color, youth of color, not just boys, but youth of color. And that's also inclusive of all races. I just need to make that point clear. The reason why we mention men of color so much is because they're the ones that have been left behind. They're the ones that haven't graduated at the same degree of level that others have. We say often, I've said myself, it's easy for a black woman to be accepted, but for a young black man or a black man to come walk into a room, there's a stigma that comes with you. And it's not something that you can understand unless you experience it. And I like talking about the elephant in the room. And that's one of the elephants in the room. When a young black kid walks into a room, sometimes, so many times in their life, they experience somebody that's like taken back, like, why are you here? That happens so much. Imagine, females as well, imagine walking in a room and you're predetermined. I want to be that adult that's like, hey, what's up, come in. I want to make you feel comfortable. I want to make you feel warm. And that's what these mentors are going to do. And that's something that's so priceless that we can't even put a figure on it. And that's why it's so very, very important that to me, that I pulled in people from the community that have had stories that are relatable to some of the youth that we actually are going to help and support. And I have to mention Ashley. Ashley is amazing. Ashley's been doing so many things for so many kids that that's her niche. That's her niche. And I think her showing this video is a really, really beautiful thing because people don't really know what she's done. They don't know what she's done or what she's capable of. So thank you for doing that, Ashley. You're amazing. So I'm really an honest speaker. Sometimes I'm too honest. Sometimes people don't know what to do with me. But I'll tell you what, the kids in this room understand me. I guarantee you put me in a room with a kid that's struggled, me and him is going to work it out. And that's what we need. My mother used to say, never by the grace of God go I. It could have been my son. It could have been my daughter. It could have been your daughter or your son. So this is what we're here to do. And these mentors, they do their thing. So I'm going to, without holding things up, I'm going to actually pass the torch and let them tell you a little bit about them. Thank you so much, and we'll see you again. Oh, you want me to introduce it? Oh, my pleasure. Okay. So we have 3 mentors that are going to speak. We're not going to take up too much of your time. We're going to start with Frank Waters. Frank does everything. I'm letting him tell you about himself. Come on, Frank. He does everything.
Hello, how you doing? My name is Frank Waters. I do everything. No, I don't do everything. Tyrone does the rest. Well, I'm the founder of an organization called My Kingston Kids, and in Kingston, New York. And what we do is we promote, produce, and create children-related content and events and programming for kids in Kingston. I'm also just appointed the executive director of an organization called Kingston Midtown Rising, where we're an asset building community development organization that assists and advocate for residents of the Midtown area of Kingston, New York. And basically, you know, I'm one of the folks that moved to Kingston 7 years ago with my family, with my wife and my 2 children. My son was 15, my daughter was 9. And basically, we wanted a different life. I was doing pretty well. We both were entrepreneurs, business owners. But, you know, my son was starting to get a little bit troubled and following the wrong crowd. It was like, all right, he's just not getting it. He's not listening. He's just doing his own thing. So I had to pull him out of the situation. And we wanted to get somewhere different, somewhere more relaxed, and basically, you know, get a fresh start. And my wife wanted some more trees and less concrete, so she really made us get out of there. So we moved to Kingston. Didn't know anyone, didn't have any family there at all. Just kind of went to the place. It was 2 hours away, and felt this would be a good place to kind of settle. And we did that for a good 3 years. And you know, after those 3 years, we started to connect and meet people and wanted to get more involved in the community. So I began, you know, My Kingston Kids, and started to do some of the things that I'm doing now. But pretty much, you know, my story is, I grew up in the South Bronx, myself and my sister, single parent home, not a mother, but a father. My dad raised me alone, and, you know, sometimes with my grandmother here and there, and it was a challenged life growing up. You know, I grew up in the projects, parents, you know, father was on substance abuse and, you know, different things like that, public assistance, I mean, the whole thing, you know, that was my life. Not many resources, just pretty much had to cope with what we had, you know, so we would go on the project staircase and do the human beatbox and rap all day, you know, go in the backyard and play basketball on the crate, and, you know, we did what we needed to do to get through. But at the same time, you know, there were a lot of challenges growing up. You would see different friends, you know, get hooked on drugs. You would see people, you know, selling things and, you know, going to prison. I had some friends, you know, unfortunately lose their lives as a teenager. And it was like, hey, is this the life you want? You know, or do you want a different life? And I always wanted something better. I always wanted, you know, to have something that I can enjoy. It was really about happiness for me. How can I be happy? And regardless of my father's lifestyle, he always was able to instill in me that you can be whatever you want. As Ashley has stated so perfectly, go beyond greatness. You are great. And as I became an adult, I realized everyone doesn't have that voice in their ear telling them that they're great. And it's very important that you guys, you young folks, know that you are great. You were born great. And just because of the circumstances you're in and the situations you go through doesn't determine your outcome of your life. You can truly be anything you want to be. People saw my father's life, even family members, and said, wow, Frank's father is a drug addict. How can he even be anything? He can't teach him anything. But you ask these folks here that know me. People know who I am, and they know who I am, and they can connect me with something positive. They can connect me with something beyond greatness. And that's because I was still able to get that little bit of encouragement, that great, that positive nourishment from my father, regardless of what he'd been through. And if you don't have a parent that can give you that, that's what we're here for, to assist as well. That's what I want to share. That's why I wanted to join the MBK program, because I know what it's like to go through those challenges. I know what it's like to not have somebody over, to have somebody on your shoulders to guide you. At one point in my life, I was 15 years old and my father went to jail. And I was out on my own for a good year. That's a long time for a 15-year-old. Not sure where I'm gonna live. I'm going from the Bronx to Brooklyn to Harlem every day trying to find a place to sleep. And I had no one on my back to make sure I did my homework, to make sure I even went to school. But there was something in me that knew if you don't go to school, you're gonna be left back. You don't get out at 19, 20 years old. And I didn't want that to happen. So I made myself go to school. I made myself do my homework until I was able to get to a family member's house and continue the rest of my education. So there's a piece of you that has to be in your consciousness to put your mindset in place to say, hey, I need a better life. And now that I was able to get through that as an adult, I have my children that I can share that with. And now that I have my children, I have my wife I can share it with, now we're able to share it with the community. And now the community is able to accept that. And you can ask them, there are hundreds and thousands of people that are able to benefit from just those little bit of things that I did. And I'm only one person. There's hundreds of people right here in this room that are doing things that are benefiting others. So never think that you can't connect to the rest of the community or you can't change the lives of the rest of the community. Because that's all it takes is one person, one dream, and one vision. And our goal is here to help you bring out your greatness. Thank you.
I'm just going to introduce the next MBK mentor for Wall Street County, and that's Tyrone Wilson. Tyrone, I don't know where to start. Tyrone did and still does so many different things. If people don't know who he is and appreciate him, then there's something wrong. Tyrone has started Harambe, which Frank is also involved in, and they did the biggest, baddest Black History Month that I've ever seen anywhere, not just in Kingston, but anywhere. And I'm for expecting again this year. I just want you to know. But Tyrone is one of our mentors, and we're grateful to have him.
Thank you all. I promise I won't be long. I just want to say, you know, to the youth here, it's always a proud moment to see youth taking that step out and you know, challenging themselves, because I know personally how scary it is when, you know, anything is introduced to you that you're not familiar with, that you know nothing of. And it does take you know, that leap of faith to say, okay, I want to be a part of that, or I'm just going to try it. So I commend all you students for joining Go Beyond Greatness with Ashley or what Frank had to offer you guys, because it's not as easy as just a yes. And I think want to recognize that. A little bit about me is I'm originally from Harlem. I came up single mother, 2 sisters, ran the streets. The streets became part of my safe haven, believe it or not, because I didn't want to be home with 3 ladies in the house. So I took to the streets, you know, a lot, and you know, our brotherhood and stuff was, you know, created. One of the reasons why I'm happy and why MBK relates to me, because in the 80s, we had an MBK, but it just wasn't called MBK. It was called Each One Teach One. And we have responsibilities in Each One Teach One. And one of our several of our responsibilities was to never let the brothers left or right to us fall. And if they do, we're there to pick them up. We're there to make sure that we all stay in school. We made sure that we ate, regardless of what was our circumstances at home. We made sure that we went to programs together. or if we didn't see you, we made phone calls. Now, that was the responsibility as young men that our counselors and mentors gave to us and told us to abide by. And when you become a part of something and you're really into it, you start to honor those things that was placed on you. So I was so happy to hear of MBK because I related to it so much in my own life. Moving forward, I moved to Kingston. I've been in Kingston for 17 years now. One of the things I kind of, knew and was struggling with was that I felt like I was cheated as a child as far as having a person to mind me and put me in places to make sure that I was successful in life. And it bothered me a lot, it really did. It really bothered me a lot. And I started realizing when I moved to Kingston too that we wasn't exposed to a lot of careers, that was available out there. Like in Harlem, all you heard about was being probably a doctor, a police, or fireman. We never heard nothing about pretty much anything else. I mean, trust me, it wasn't that I wasn't paying attention, it's just that it wasn't offered to us in the fashion that I seen it, when I moved upstate. So me today, I am the founder and executive director of an organization called Harambe. And that means the coming together of people in Swahili. I created this organization 2 years ago, based on everything that I was dealing with in my life personally, and I wanted to create an organization that teaches young African American kids to be proud of who they are, to understand who they are, dig back in history, understand the enslavement of their people, their ancestors. I wanted to create that. I wanted to be able to tell the story. I didn't want our kids to only hear about we was enslaved people. I wanted our kids to hear about we was kings and queens as well. So instead of me, complaining about what our kids wasn't getting in their schools or, just in their homes, I wanted to, be proactive and create that for them. So what Harambe has created in Kingston, we had created Black History Month Kingston, which was an event that me and Frank talked about one day, and Frank is our assistant director of Harambe. But we talked about doing something for Black History Month, and we started off with talking about doing something on the weekend. But that weekend turned into 36 events in 28 days. And it was an amazing event. It was something that Kingston has never seen before. And it was very educational because we was able to bring communities from all over together. And everybody was able to talk. And something that was like kind of, uncommon to be in these places and to really have the conversations that we needed to have. And we was kind of like ducking these conversations. And it was a platform to say, hey, let's not be afraid to have the conversations. Understand it's uncomfortable, it may be uncomfortable, okay, but let's have the conversation. And, I think we did a very good job in completing that, that task that we had to do. And also, our goal when we started Harambe was to create an African American festival that Kingston never had. So we also, this past August 25th, we created the first ever African American festival in Kingston, New York. And that was visited by hundreds of people. And another thing of this being proud of who we are. I don't really care what color skin you are. I'm just be proud of who you are. And I heard somebody earlier say about creating your brand and who you are. That's valid. That's very important because there are some things that nobody gonna know about you but you. And for you have to get that out. For you to get that out, you're gonna have to get in tune with that. And when you get in tune with that, it just flourishes out. It becomes very meaningful in your life. And then you start addressing these things in your life that you want to address. So on top of the African American Festival, Harambe has also purchased, with the partnership with the Kingston Land Trust, we have purchased an African burial ground that's located in Kingston too, which is now under our patrol, and we want to build a proper memorial because this land was disrespected. It was a lumberyard on top of it. It was a residential that was built on top of it. So our purchase gave us the right to preserve it and take care of our ancestors the proper way that we're supposed to do. So I encourage you all, to go for anything that's in your heart. And I don't want to lie to you, it's scary, but I'm telling you, push through it, go forward, talk to anybody that's in your surroundings that you want to connect to, that you connect to. Keep them in tune as mentors, even as you go to college, even when you have your own family. People that you connect with is very valuable and very important in your life. So stay in tune, stay strong, and be great.
Ulster County MBK makes it so easy for me. I just introduce them, they do their thing. They're amazing. We have one more mentor to come and speak, and then we have to actually run to another event. I just need you to know that it's always positive working with Frank. If he calls me, I'm here, because Frank is the man who's really lucky to have him. Next, we're going to have Donnie Mates. He's also a mentor for Ulster County. He's relatable because he's very close to the age of the youth that he's going to mentor to. And hopefully, the three of them, there are three other mentors in our group. They're going to create our next mentors, this group. Thank you so much.
You guys hear me? Yes. I'll be brief. You've been here for my name is Donnie Mapes. From Kingston, New York. One of the few members is actually from Kingston. I feel like the city's taking over, come to help us out. But born and raised in Kingston, New York. I'm a full-time artist. I make music for a living, singer, songwriter. You guys can look me up anywhere. And but originally I played basketball. Was a high school standout, you would say. Came from a great home in a not so great neighborhood. Had two wonderful parents that busted their butt every day that make sure I didn't have to look long for anything. But you always hear stories about the kids in trouble youth, pretty much the Allen Iverson story if you want to hear, about the kids that didn't have anything, had to fight for everything they had, which is partially a kid like me, but luckily I had parents. There are kids that don't have parents. And when you grow up in a certain neighborhood, and also just being a person of color, there's a lot of adversity, whether it's, I'm sure everybody in this room can relate. There's racism up here. We are in upstate New York. Blatant racism at that point. And then poverty. And then there's just a bunch of obstacles you run into, even on a daily basis, just being a young youth of color. And then there's the kids that come from the great homes and still have the adversity. I remember being in high school and being on the basketball team, getting scholarships, and I had a guidance counselor that didn't even know how to register me for the clearinghouse, didn't know it existed, didn't know you needed this, you needed certain classes in order to go to Division I and Division II schools. So it's not always the kid that you're like is a problem child. There's the kid that has two parents that don't even know, oh, we're not even putting him on the right track. So there's a lot of things missing in mentorship and just life in general right now. So I feel like MBK right now is in more of a need than ever with everything that's going on in the world. Kids not knowing how to deal with themselves, and a lot of times in life kids just shut down because there's people that don't know how to address them or deal with them. Like there should be a process before you just get into trouble and then just get sent out of school. Like let's identify the problem, which is what a lot of the backbone I think of what MBK we're doing in Ulster County we always talk about all the time. So just thank you guys for being here and understanding and being part of this. The kids, you guys are great. Like you guys got the uniforms and everything. You guys look spectacular. And just thanks again for understanding and helping us move forward and just being a part of this. Thank you.
I recognize that we're almost at the end and maybe going to push over for 2 or 3 minutes. We have 2 more speakers. I'd like to introduce Ron Cozart, branch manager at Hudson Heritage Federal Credit Union. I heard his story at camp when we bring part of our program is we bring new sixth graders to overnight camp. In the summer, we bring new ninth graders over. And Ron came to both of those sessions. In the middle of a cabin, everybody's sweating, having come from swim and zip lining and all that. But he has a great message. I'd like to introduce you to now. Ron Kozak.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm just going to be brief. One, because I want to respect your time, and two, my story has been told by these guys right here. So I'm going to, just a little bit about me. I'm a branch manager at Hudson Heritage Federal Credit Union. I have over 30 years in banking, mostly on the commercial side. Being at a credit union has given me the opportunity to actually learn about money and how it works, as opposed to commercial banking and how your credit score is actually affected and what you can do to improve that. A little bit about me. I am one of those guys from the hood, South Bronx. I affectionately call it the Badlands. I grew up in the projects too. And a lot of the streets running around, carrying on, had come from due to parents who loved us and built us up. But we all know that once you get outside, you know, it's the hood. It's the hood. I was fortunate to be able to be directed by my parents to know that I have worth and that I'm able to do anything that I want to do. My father provided a strong work ethic. My mother provided the ability for us to look and to know that we can dream and have our dreams come true. I started working at 12 years old. Little candy store. It wasn't a lot of money, but it was $26 a week, and I was excited about that because I could go out and buy my Pro-Cats, 69. And it was something about having your own money. I took that concept and again, looking at my dad's work ethic and my mom's ability to dream and then having that instilled in us, and thought about what I wanted to do. Because there were a lot of kids that were falling by the wayside. I mean, they left. From working in the candy store, my goal was to work at McDonald's. McDonald's was my dream. Get some free food, french fries. But my goal was to work there. At 16, I was able to get a job there, and due to rapid turnover and just my determination to succeed there, I was a manager at 17 years old. That's a big responsibility for a kid who's 17. When all the kids in the hood are coming to that store and laughing at me with my paper hat and my McDonald's uniform, but I was excited because, you know what, I was looking at things and say, I can make some things happen here. And although I was so focused on myself, I said, you know what, if I'm working this hard for just someone else, I need to be able to have my own. At 17 years old, I actually contacted McDonald's and said, how do I buy a franchise? How do I buy a franchise? Send me the information. I was excited until they said, well, you need about $40,000. You have to save that by yourself, and there's no partners. So I decided, all right, you know what? I'm not going to get that working at McDonald's, earning $150 a week, but maybe I could do something else. Hence, I was introduced to banking. Started at Citibank, worked there for 29 years. Went through a lot of challenges, a lot of learning, but again, in my mind, to your point, Frank, I had it in me to say, hey, I can do better, I can get something done. I had to tell you, I woke up this morning, and the first thing that I said to myself was happy birthday, and I started thinking about, you start thinking about things that you haven't accomplished, things that you didn't do, shoulda, woulda, coulda, and I actually had to stop and start having an attitude of thankfulness, of gratefulness. There are plenty of people who stood before me on whose shoulders I stand because they offered programs like Go Beyond Greatness. For me, it started in scouting, started in another program called Explorers, where I was exposed to professionals in different fields. But one of the things that constantly nagged me was, okay, well, if I can move forward, like, how come no one else around me has that mindset? How come they're not exposed to that? which leads me to part of my passion and part of my definition for success. Yes, I could work someplace for many years and make the money and have the cars and family and that sort of thing, but honestly, part of my definition of success is being able to reach back and help, not only reach back and help people, but to uplift them so that they can stand on my shoulders to go beyond where I have and where I've been. And one of the opportunities that I came across was Go Beyond Greatness because I was, as part of the credit union, I'm trying to explore and educate people outside of where I am. I'm actually in Pine Bush, and share what a credit union does. Through sharing a program at the library, I was introduced to Ashley, the director of the library said, you know, she's involved in a great program, sharing information, financial education for financial and job training and career building for students. And this is the time now that we need to reach back and to go in and speak to our youth. As Frank said, I spoke to two different groups at camp, and I spoke to the high school students who were self-engaged, and you know, I'm like, okay, kick back. Honestly, I spoke to the sixth graders, and they were all over it. I could not believe that they, you know, I asked them, so who has a new iPhone? They raised their hand. You know how much that costs? No. I said, well, no, that costs money, right? Well, I'm not worried about that because my dad and my mom are going to pay for that. I said, that's $1,000 phone. I said, you need to know how much that costs and how that gets paid for. A lot of them are key on, oh, well, I get an allowance and I save that. They save it and make their parents spend money for it. So they have no idea of you know, how the money is actually working. They just know that they have theirs. But it was so refreshing to speak with them at that age and to help them understand, listen, you know, things cost money. What you choose in life, your dreams, your goals, that has importance. Programs like Go Beyond Greatness has given me the opportunity to reach back and speak to kids and say, hey, number one, you can do anything that you want to do. You can dream about it, get around people who are positive, and also connect with someone who has that interest in giving back, interested in bringing you to the forefront. Go Beyond Greatness is an exciting program, and I'm glad to be associated with it. I had the opportunity to speak to read to some students at the Ellenville elementary school. It was Dr. Tuesday, and these kids are sharp, man. They're sponges. You should take the opportunity to teach them. They're willing to learn, and also just to reach out and say, hey, you're worth it. You're worth it, because you know what? As I said, you come out on the street and it's totally different. Even if whether you come from a great home or not, it's totally different when you come outside and you see other stuff that's going on. They need to be engaged. They need to know that they're worth somebody investing their time, and I'm excited about doing that. And again, most of my story was shared by my brothers from the city, but my goal is to be involved with the students at any age, to be able to help them move forward, to learn about financial literacy, because it's important. Obviously, when I went to school, I wasn't really taught. Wasn't taught. I mean, and to be perfectly honest with you, although I had 29 years of commercial banking experience, retail, I had no idea of how credit affects you and how that works now. So for me, somebody in banking who had no idea about that, because I just took an application and sent it out, to being able to discuss that now and to explain it to kids in their own language is priceless. So I'm glad to have the opportunity to share with you. I'm glad the opportunity to go with, to partner with Go Beyond Greatness. And at any time, if anybody would like to reach out to me, I'm working on programs to help educate kids of all ages about financial literacy, because it's so important now. I mean, kids are coming out of school, you know, high school, and they're going into college, and they're coming out with so much student loan debt. They're coming out with so much debt that the amount that they have is a mortgage, and they don't even have a home. We need to do better. We need to do better. And I just want to I'm thankful that I'm able to be a part of that. Thank you.
are so many things happening in Ulster County, it's hard to keep up with, so many good things. And if you take a few moments, you realize, wow, there's a lot of things popping and hopping here. So I want to introduce Anna Markowitz, who's the Assistant County Executive from Ulster County, to talk about a new initiative that's being kicked off that she's conducting, and I got a chance to hear about it recently. I'm very excited about it.
Hi, thank you all for inviting me to this amazing event. I feel so fortunate to hear all the stories, and I realize that I represent the bureaucracy and the most boring person in this room, so I will keep it brief. But I'm really excited about some new initiatives that we have going on in Ulster County. I work with Pat Ryan, who's the county executive, and one of his big 5 initiatives is Justice for All. And I'm really lucky that he put me at the helm of Justice for All, and so I'm helping with all of the Kingston and Ulster County community to start the Restorative Justice and Community Empowerment Center in Kingston. So I'm helping to launch that, to really strengthen and grow the community, and through that, we realize that there are other communities, like in Ellenville, that also need connection and empowerment, and that we should be here on the ground because it's far to get to Kingston. I know, I just drove from there. And so we are really lucky that I was connected to Frank and to Ashley, and we met with the superintendent of the Ellenville schools, and they were like, yes, please come partner with us. So we are starting a program called Brighter Futures Initiative, and it is for 20 youth that are at risk of generational poverty. And we are just really wrapping our arms around them for 4 years and saying, we're gonna make you graduate from high school, we're gonna connect you to either an associate's program or a bachelor's program or a trade, and we're gonna make sure that you graduate from that and are successfully launched into the workforce, because we want to partner with Go Beyond Greatness, we want to partner with MBK, we want to partner with the amazing programs that already exist in these communities and strengthen them and give them the microphone that they deserve to make sure that these kids are well supported. So it's a work in progress, we're learning and we're driving the car as we're building it, and so I'm really looking forward to partnering with everybody in this community. And you know, if you see us putting the doors on backwards as we're building this car, you just let us know, because sometimes it's hard when you're driving it to see. So I'm really excited to be here and to be in Ellenville more often. So thank you for being so welcoming.
So this is the last message for everybody. First of all, I would like all of my MBK youth to stand. These are 15 youngsters. Actually, there are more than 15 because some graduates came back today. But these are youngsters who gave up their time on Tuesday to clean this place and set it up. We did not match the sweaters to these chairs here, but they came closer. And they worked hard to make this happen. And you can see the leadership emerging in them and the coordination in their leadership too. So I thank you for that. The senior ones helping with the younger ones. And I don't want to belabor it, but I'm just reminding you after this ends in a few moments, we will be cleaning up in detail. So, but there's plenty of pastry left for you. Okay, please have a seat. Thank you. The last message I have is, if you are a business, an organization, a family member, a community member that came today, these are the things you can do. You can sign up to join our advisory board or as a mentor to our grant, both in terms of it structurally and even individually with kids. You can volunteer. We have lots of events that go on. We look for MWBE, Minority and Women Business Enterprises, to join us as contractors, though we're open to all contractors. But we have a variety of services that we hire to our tiny grant. You can make donations, you can offer internships, and you can talk to us about pathways through work and learning in youth employment and college and careers. So I want to thank you for that. We have been filmed through the entire afternoon, And we have been live streamed on YouTube, so we do have a record of everything that's been said today, and we will be sharing. If you haven't signed up or signed in, see one of my youth outside, get your name on that so we can write to you and let you know what's coming next, and so that you can reach us as well. So I want to thank everybody for being here. This is an important day for all of these youth, for Ellenville School District, and most of all for the entire community and Ulster County. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.